Hey everyone, welcome to episode 11 of the Secrets to Self-Love show, Nourishing Your Body to Facilitate Your Mental Health. And I have my guest, Mandy Jeffley, here with me. And I'm super excited to talk about this topic because it's something that's like near and dear to my heart, mental health, of course. And yeah, just welcome.
Thank you. How's it going, Kayla?
It's awesome. Super excited, like I said, to just talk about this because this is something that I guess I've struggled with for a long time in my life, and I've kind of just gone, back and forth with it. And so, yeah, I'm excited to get even more information. And just for those of you who are listening, this episode is for you. If you are feeling overwhelmed, consumed by all the issues in the world right now, and you want to create some more positivity in your life, but maybe you don't know how, this is like a really great place to start. In fact, I think it's one of the most powerful places to start. So today, Mandy and I are going to talk a little bit about the connection between the brain and the gut and how that affects your mental health. I know from firsthand, I have definitely noticed that what I eat really affects my mental health. So she's going to go over what foods to eat, what foods to avoid, and that is in order to encourage, mental health, and what kind of supplements you can take, and then how to get started, right? So just so you guys know, we are going to give you some free gifts at the end here. So make sure you listen to the whole entire episode. So I'll just do a quick introduction for both of us. In case you haven't seen the show before, the Secrets to Self-Love show, I go live every single Monday, or I do a pre-recorded show like this one. And it's just a video about confidence, self-love, body image, and self-care for business women. And if, like I said, you don't know me, my name is Kayla, and I am a self-love and confidence coach for business women who want to get out of self-doubt and judgment and really show up and shine in their lives and businesses. And today I have Mandy Jeffley, like I said. She has her Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So she's an RN, a licensed holistic nutritional consultant. And she specializes in helping clients that struggle with adrenal fatigue, burnout related to the chronic stress. And these symptoms can have a major impact on both the individual personally and professionally. So Mandy realized her passion for prevention after her recovery from postpartum depression. When the support she received from traditional resources only offered pharmaceutical and psychological intervention, she was determined to develop a program that creates an environment that encourages the body to thrive. This program incorporates improved nutrition, appropriate sleep, and effective stress management. So Mandy takes a holistic approach and integrates easy-to-follow strategies to promote a balanced lifestyle for individuals who feel they have nowhere else to turn. And I have talked to people who have worked with Mandy, and they've gotten amazing results. So she knows her stuff. So Mandy, what exactly does an LHNP do?
I get that question all the time. So a licensed holistic nutrition practitioner is the full title. Basically what I do is I help you choose the right food and the right supplementation to increase your energy. I help you improve your sleep, which is huge for mental health and body health all around. Release excess weight is often a byproduct of this. I help you reduce symptoms of disease and improve your overall wellness. So I kind of use food and supplementation like doctors use medication in the hospital, okay? And then I teach you actually to how to listen to your body, okay? As a nurse, assessment is like my thing. I've been doing it for a decade. It comes second nature to me. So I teach you how you can start to listen to your body and program it, or kind of tune into what is it asking for? How do I give my body the building blocks that it's asking for so that it can thrive again? So when I work with clients individually, that's a big portion of what we work on is, okay, when my body does this, what is it asking for, and how do I give it that so that it can start to function and go back into creating the health that it's designed to create.
Yeah. That's awesome. I talk about connection with body quite a bit in my workshops, right? And just realizing that it's not just like something that we can ignore, right? This is like the only place we have to live, legit. So we have to take care of it, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, Mandy, why don't you just start by just sharing a little bit about your story and kind of how you got yourself out of that postpartum depression?
Okay, for sure. Yeah. I'll maybe do a little bit of the shortened version of it. But basically, when I got pregnant with my first son, that pregnancy immediately followed my second miscarriage. And at that point in my life, I was just finishing up my first year of nursing practice. I was working full time, day and night shift at the hospital. I never said no. So I always picked up extra hours, extra shifts. I was doing a lot of extra education and certification at that time. So I was kind of extending my physical resilience to the max. I wasn't sleeping because of the shift work, and I was not managing my stress well. I was like bottling it all up and pushing it deep, deep down inside. And so this didn't really, even though
Yes,
we,
really.
what's that?
I said, I think so many women can relate to that. Like, I'm fine, it's okay, well, I'm going to get through this, and then burnout happens. I've totally been there.
Absolutely. Well, and even just the ego of starting a professional career like that. I should be able to handle this. I should be able to manage it all, right? So that's
Mm-hmm.
what I was kind of telling myself. And then we were excited to start a family. I was excited to get pregnant. But I didn't really connect the whole idea of growing a human body inside of my own body would actually maybe take a little bit more resilience and care. And so I didn't change
Mm-hmm.
my practices at all. I just stacked another human on top of it. And so my delivery was very extensive. I went into labor with my son on a Sunday night and had him on a Thursday morning. So that
Mm.
required a lot of energy. And then when he was born, he was a sick baby as well. So he had an underlying illness that he was born with, a kidney illness. And so even after just one night at home, he was readmitted to hospital for a stay in the pediatric unit. So all of this kind of created a perfect storm. I still, throughout all that, I wasn't sleeping. I still wasn't managing my stress. And so it kind of created a perfect storm. And when he was about 4 months old, I hit a wall. I was totally overwhelmed. I was telling myself in my own mind, and this is, I think, one of the things that really classifies it as a postpartum depression is I was telling myself that my family, my husband, my son, they're better off without me. Like, I wish that they would just leave. Like, my husband would just pack up my son and leave. Or else I need to take myself out of the picture somehow because they're better off without me. Um,
Mm.
so that was those thoughts are really hard to battle with. And my husband started to he definitely started to realize. And so then one night he sat me down and he said, you know what, babe, I love you, but you're not okay, we're not okay, and you need to get professional help. Like, you need to
Mm-hmm.
fix this. So that was kind of my brick wall that I hit. And I did what we're supposed to do. So in that situation, your healthcare team, they tell you to go and make an appointment with your doctor. So that's what I did. But unfortunately, my doctor at that time, he said the only thing that he could offer me is a prescription. And it would require me to stop breastfeeding my son. And I knew that breastfeeding, like when you're breastfeeding, that releases all of your happy hormones and
Mm-hmm.
relaxation, recovery hormones. And just having that connection with my son at that time, I feel like was pretty much the only thing holding my family together and me together for as much as I could say that I was held together. And so it was that point in time where I had to make this decision, and I had to start to open my mind and cross over into a realm that was less familiar to me. But I didn't want to stop breastfeeding my son, so I had to decline on my doctor. And I said, you know what, that's not it. Like, are there any other steps before this one? And he's like, sorry, like I can't really offer you anything. You're welcome to come back if you decide that this is right for you. Otherwise, let me know what you find, because I would love to have some more resources to offer my patients like you. And so that started this process of kind of trial and error in my life. And my husband was open when we made that decision together. And I just said, okay, I need your awareness. If it gets to a point where I got to go back, definitely let me know. I will do that. But I want to see what's out there for me and how I can start to create some health in my life without turning to the pharmaceutical side at this point. And so I did. I found a doctor of holistic holistic medicine, naturopathic medicine. Sorry, I'm holistic. She's naturopathic. And she did some counseling with me. She did a lot of counseling. It turns out there was all sorts of things wound up in my mind that I hadn't processed, right? Which is not a surprise to me now. We did counseling. She put me on a supplementation regime. And then it was through this that I started to really get curious about nutrition and starting to pay attention of, oh, what I put into my body actually matters. Like, this actually makes a difference in how I feel and how I go forward. And most importantly, how I think, right? You know that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my story. And so just by creating these habits in my life, my family's life, this has been a journey now for the last 6 years. I'm happy to say my oldest son, is now without diagnosis. He's completely healthy. Myself, my physical body is sound. Depression is something that I think if we have a tendency toward it, it's not something that we necessarily just leave behind. We kind of stay on this teeter-totter between depression and resilience, but it's something I'm much more aware of now. And I know the tools, I know the things that I can put into my body now to strike up that resilience a lot quicker than I did back then. So this has been a huge journey, but my family is so much healthier. With my second son, I didn't rebound into the postpartum depression, which is about a 76% rebound rate. I didn't struggle with that again when I had my second son, because I was able to fill myself up and focus on that resilience point. So that's my story, and that's how I've kind of created this bridge between medicine. So I'm still doing my nursing career, but holistic nutrition and more of the holistic natural realm of health as well. It's kind of I like that I have both fields to refer to.
Yeah, I can relate so much to your whole journey, because I was in nursing as well. I didn't finish. I did 2 years of it, but since then I've worked in healthcare for like 13 years, right? So I've been, I had such a similar story actually to you. Is, when I had an emotional breakdown, I guess it would have been about a year ago. And I haven't really talked too much about it on social media just yet, but I feel that, all of this stuff that you're talking about is totally resonating, because that's been like my journey for the last year or so, which is like, when I went to my doctor, he said, here you go, here's the pills. And I was like, there has to be something else, right? And he basically was like, no, there isn't. And I'm so glad there's people out there like you who are like, hey, there's other things that you can do, other things that you can put in your toolbox. Yes, medication can be part of many people's toolbox. And I did take the medication, and I'm now since off, but it's just one of those things that you can add, right? And I love that's what this is. So if you could tell us anything about nourishing our bodies to facilitate mental health, what would these things be? Like, I know you have a couple of things to talk about, so I'm excited for this discussion.
Okay, so number one, you might have to give me a time limit, because when I start talking about this stuff, I love talking about this stuff. So just give me like a sign when I need to start like wrapping it up.
Okay.
One of the biggest things that I discovered when I started educating myself on nutrition and how nutrients affect all of our body and how we think, I kind of stumbled upon this research that the vagus nerve, so you have your brain, and then you have your spinal cord, and your each like little strand of your spinal cord, we'll say, attaches to a different spot in your brain, right? And what brings all of this together, your longest nerve in your spinal cord is called the vagus nerve. And that's one of like the top priority nerves. Your brain listens to that one before it listens to a lot of the other stuff going on in your body. That vagus nerve runs all the way down your spinal cord and attaches essentially directly to your gut. Okay. So you got the direct path between your brain and your gut. So that is why I want to give you an example of this because everybody has been in this situation before. You remember when we used to go out for meals with our friends? Remember when we used to be able to do that? So you walk into the restaurant, you're going out for dinner, you're going out for lunch, and you've been eating clean at home, you've been feeling really good, and so then you decide in your mind before you go into the restaurant, I'm going to order the salad. I think I'm going to order the salad. I'm going to take the clean protein. That's what I'm going to do. But as soon as you walk into the restaurant and you smell all of those smells and you sit down and you don't even look at the menu and you're like, nope, I'm going to order the salad. Server comes up and you order the cheeseburger. That's happened to me. And that's because your gut takes advantage of this direct path to your brain. And your gut almost decides because basically your gut is this big ball of bacteria. There's billions of them down there. And Dr. Mitra Ray, I went to one of her talks. She's a microbiologist from the States. And she said the reason that your gut can overpower your brain is because you have one brain and they have billions. So they outnumber you. That's essentially all it is, right? So that's kind of one of the main connections between your brain and your gut. As you look into that a little bit further, you start to realize how your brain communicates with the rest of your body is by releasing what's called neurotransmitters. So these are like little text messages that your brain sends out, and it sends it out to all parts of your body. That's what your nervous system is responsible for. The rest of your body, though, it's almost like a cell phone with no data. It can receive messages, but it can't send messages back as easily. Except your gut. So your gut has these neurotransmitters that it can actually produce. So it's like a cell phone with data. It can actually communicate back to the brain. So
that is so cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of research on this now. And so that's the difference between your gut and the rest of your organs. The rest of your organs have to go through this long, convoluted, it's like postal mail. They get the message and you have to sit down and write a letter to get a message back to your brain. Whereas the gut and the brain are sitting there like texting madly back and forth. Okay. So, but picture
that's awesome.
So picture this though, your brain up here is the parent, all right? Your brain up here is mom, knows what's best, higher level of thinking. Your gut is a 15-year-old boy, okay? So has some thinking, but really just hungry. Just send me the food. Just send me the food. Send me the quickest absorbable food right now. I'm starving. And that's why a lot of people, if they let themselves get too hungry, then they go for the carbs. It's like they can't even control it because your gut took over, and your gut is a 15-year-old boy. Okay.
He's in a rage right now. Like in a rage, nothing can stop that 15-year-old boy. I totally have been there.
Like total, like immediate. What am I looking for here? Immediate satisfaction is what your gut is looking for. Yeah. Whereas your mind is more capable of looking into the future. What's going to be best for me in the long run? Okay. So that's how they're connected, and that's the difference between the two. That's kind of the relationship between the two. And for me, just having that realization of how they're connected and what's going on when these emotions are coming up for me, even thinking on a level of, it's not me that's self-sabotaging, it's my gut that's sabotaging me, right? Yeah. So we got to think more into it and have that connection. So that's one of the biggest things. So this microbiome, so then the second biggest thing that I want people to understand is your microbiome. Like I said, it's all these crazy gut bugs. There's like billions of them, and they thrive. They essentially thrive on like reproducing with each other. And when there's new healthy gut bugs, they're like, oh my God, we want to reproduce with you too. Yeah.
They're like humans.
Exactly.
Crazy about reproduction.
Absolutely. And so then, but that's how they actually keep you safe. And so when you're, what order do I put this in? Okay. So number one, a lot of people right now are talking about how isolation is not good for our immune system. And this is why when we are out and we're connecting with one another and we are getting these different bugs into our system, then your gut can really start to thrive because it has that variety introduced in. So your immune system is actually very closely connected to your gut as well. And how well your gut is doing determines not only your thinking, but also how strong your immune system is, just based on all of these bugs. So basically you have good bugs and you have bad bugs. You would just want to make sure that you have more good bugs than bad bugs. That's plain and simple, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I'm just gonna check my notes real quick to make sure that I'm covering everything that I want to. Okay.
Oh yeah, give us all the goods. Give us all the stuff.
Okay.
I find this fascinating.
I love it. Like I said, you're gonna have to put a time limit on me. So you have good bugs and you have bad bugs. So basically with your food, what you're doing is you're always making a choice of what gut bugs you want to feed. Do you want to feed your good gut bugs or do you want to feed your bad gut bugs? Because your good gut bugs are going to send really good messages up to your brain, those text messages that our gut is sending back. Your good gut bugs send the good messages back. That's how they send the positive messages. Your good gut bugs make sure that your immune system is strong. Your good gut bugs make sure that when you eat, you're absorbing the good nutrients that feed them. Your bad gut bugs, if those guys start to take over, they're the ones who start to make those decisions that aren't so positive in your life, okay? So it's always gonna be this teeter-totter because neither one of them completely go away. It's just a matter of which ones are you feeding. And so this is where the food comes into it. This is where the food gives you the connection because those good gut bugs, what they eat is fiber. They eat the non-soluble fiber. So when you eat celery or actually let's say corn, when you eat corn and sometimes it comes out looking similar to how it went in.
Yeah.
It's that type of fiber that feeds your gut bugs, right? And so then that's why whole food is so important because yes, absolutely you want the nutrients that are going to start to create your hormones and the nutrients that are going to feed and repair your cells. But you also need that fiber in your diet to feed your good gut bugs so that they grow and produce as opposed to eating the foods with no fiber. So these are the foods that like fast foods, overly processed foods, it actually starts to take more energy for your body to break them down and absorb them. It's kind of like throwing garbage into the ocean. It takes more away than it gives. And so when you start eating a lot of those foods or those foods more often than the good foods with fiber, then your bad gut bugs start to take over. And that's a lot of times where we start to see the negativity come through. Our body isn't acting in the way that we want it to. And it kind of turns into this self-fulfilling cycle.
You know what I love about this is that it's almost a scientific proof of like kind of a bit of a theory that I've had in my own brain, which is like, because I've been on the journey of like, I've eaten really healthy, lost a bunch of, like you said, I love how you put it, by the way, released weight, like a lot of weight. That's when I've been a majority of the time making decisions to eat those really nourishing, whole and healthy foods. And I have always looked at it in terms of like the law of vibration. So in that respect, it's like if you eat a bunch of foods that have high vibes, right? That's what I call it, like high vibes, right? Then your body is going to vibrate at a higher level. And if you eat stuff that's low vibe, a majority of the time, that's what your body is going to be. Like you are what you eat type of thing, right? Like people have said that for, I don't know, my mom was saying that to me, like, so that must have been from a long, long way back. But it's cool how now the science is like catching up to, prove what we've kind of always known. And yeah, just really neat.
Oh yeah, for sure. And there is a ton of science on this. So they've actually, they can now very closely link anxiety with stomach issues. So people with IBS, a lot of times they have much higher rates of depression and anxiety because there is such a close link between the two.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Okay. So Mandy, let's get into the goods, which is what, like, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, like, what foods are we supposed to eat and which ones should we avoid?
Okay. So, and I've already kind of touched on this, but basically what your primary goal is you want to be feeding those good gut bugs all the time. You always want to focus on feeding those good gut bugs more than you're feeding the bad gut bugs. And I've created a loophole in here, so we'll cover that after. Don't worry, you don't have to give up your poutine just a minute.
Just a minute.
Okay, so your brain thrives on healthy fats, and it thrives on those micronutrients. Okay, so the foods that really feed your guts are the whole grains. The whole grains are loaded with fiber. Okay, whole grains are also loaded with B vitamins. And then your fruits and veggies. So fruits and veggies are loaded with like micronutrients. Grains are also very high in zinc, so those minerals. And your fruits and veggies, so they have the micronutrients. So vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin K, all of those things you're finding mostly in your grains and your fruits and vegetables. And those are the things that really feed your gut bugs. Those are the things that have the most fiber. And so the micronutrients that I was talking about, the vitamins, those are your catalysts. They help your cells work quicker. Okay, they're like jet fuel for your cells. They help your cells work quicker and more efficiently. So that's why you want to be making sure you get them in. Your cells work without them, but just not as well. It's like having your car kind of just above empty on fuel. Okay. When you put in all those micronutrients, that fills up your car, it fills up your tank, and that's where you get the endurance, and that's where your resiliency comes from. Okay. And so then the whole grains, B vitamins. So B vitamin is like the main catalyst for your mind and your well-being. Okay. So a lot of people, when stress is really high, they burn through their B vitamins so quickly. And that's why we can manage maybe a couple of days of stress, but by like the third or fourth day, you're like, yeah, because you've burned through kind of your B vitamin is water soluble. So you don't store it very well in your body. So that's why it doesn't take stress very long to take over, because you burn through those B vitamins and then you just like crash. So that's why you want to be making sure you're getting the whole grains in, because the whole grains have the fiber that feeds the gut bugs, the good gut bugs. And then it also packs like the zinc and the B vitamins that help your brain stay resilient. Okay. Fruits and vegetables, micronutrients, and fiber, again, feeding those good gut bugs. Yeah. All right. And then we go to, okay, so your actual, how your brain actually regenerates itself is through those healthy fats. Okay. So your brain is over 68% fat. Okay. And so then that's where you want to make sure that you're eating the healthiest fats possible. So omega-3 with DHA and EPA, that's one of the best things that you can feed your brain. So fish like salmon is really high in DHA and EPA. Also walnuts, flaxseed is really high in omega-3. It's a different type of omega-3, but so these healthy fats are the ones that you want to get in for when your brain is actually regenerating its cells. You want to make sure that it's creating it from the good ingredients, right? So those are very important. And then also protein. So we want to make sure that we're getting enough clean protein, because protein is how your body builds your hormones, and that's your messaging system throughout your body, and that's what takes control of your cycles. So I always tell my clients, and in most of my talks, I say, like, a lot of people don't think about how important their cycles are, but one of the most important is our sleep-wake cycle. And you all know how you feel when you start sleeping kind of junky. Maybe you're only getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep instead of the recommended 7 to 8, or if your sleep is broken up a lot. It doesn't take very long for that cycle, the break in that cycle, to start to make you feel like crap. And that's true with all of our cycles. So nice clean proteins, same things that carry your fiber carry protein too, like dark green vegetables carry a lot of protein. Meat protein, it puts like an extra step in there for your body, and it also carries cholesterol. So I always say, let's try and get our protein through peas or soy or some sort of vegetable-based first. All right, quinoa is great because they pack fiber instead of cholesterol, and those things contribute to your body. So those are the foods. I was going to cover basically the supplementation is the same as what you're wanting to get from the healthy foods. So I mentioned vitamin B. You can supplement vitamin B complex to help manage that stress and increase your resilience. You can supplement omega-3 with DHA and EPA. That's going to give you that endurance in your brain and help create your brain cells from those good ingredients. A probiotic. So probiotics and prebiotics. Basically the probiotic, when we say probiotic, that's your good gut bugs. That's the actual bugs themselves. And then the prebiotic is the gut food, or the bug food. So if you feel like you're really getting down and you haven't been eating so well lately, that's one of the best ways that you can start to get your gut turned back over is take a probiotic and take a prebiotic. So the gut bugs and then the gut bug food.
Yes, I take those. Those are it. So Mandy, I have a couple of questions that came up when you were just talking about that stuff.
Okay.
So the first question, which is very common nowadays, is like, so how do you get the whole grains in if you're avoiding gluten?
So basically the only grains that actually have gluten in them would be wheat and barley. Those are the most common ones that have gluten in them. But honestly, most of your grains and seeds, they are gluten-free. So if you're looking at oats, oats are gluten-free. Lentils are gluten-free. Quinoa is gluten-free. Split peas, that's gluten-free. So a lot of your grains are actually gluten-free. You just almost just not kind of need to expand your understanding of grains and what they are. So if you are trying to eat gluten-free, that's fantastic. But gluten is really just a grain protein. And yeah, it's more specific to wheat than anything else.
It's interesting because like when you say whole grains, and I think this is just old programming from like the time I was a child. You remember the food pyramid? And when it said whole grain, it's like this picture. So I think this is why it's like burned into my mind. Like whole grains equals whole wheat bread. And I'm like, well, what else can I eat other than that, right? So I'm sure you have like an actual meal plan for this, because I think that would be really helpful, even just for someone like myself. I don't know about you guys, but I love having it all laid out for me. Like there's no, like there's none of that guesswork of like, I don't know what I'm going to have for supper, so I'm going to order sushi or whatever it is, right? And it's like, no, I definitely need to have a plan of like what I'm going to eat, because I think a confused mind or brain is going to make bad choices.
It does, because then that 15-year-old boy in your gut takes over, right? That's what happens.
Totally.
But
Totally.
I absolutely do. I do meal planning, and my next big meal plan is launching here in the next couple of weeks. And that's exactly what it does, is it lays it out for you and gives you all the recipes. So you understand how to start cooking with these foods, and then you make it easy on yourself by having it all laid out. So yeah, that's something that I absolutely do. It's called Start Fresh for Spring, and it's launching in the next couple of weeks, and it's on demand. So it's a 6-week program, and anybody has access to it. And yeah, it's a whole food plan. Just basic, delicious, fantastic, colorful for spring whole food.
Sweet. It's just, I love that. I might actually do that myself, to be honest. So we're going to talk after this. But so probiotics and prebiotics, I'm just going to back up for a second. Like I have read that some of those, they're not all created equal, right? So do you have like, is there something that people should be looking for when they buy those kinds of supplements?
Absolutely. So a lot of people, when I talk about supplementation, people realize, because I'll suggest a certain brand or a certain product from a certain store. And then people say, oh, but I can actually get that at Costco, or I can get that at Walmart for like half the price. Yes, you can, but you get what you pay for. You absolutely get what you pay for. And so I have 2 really good health food stores in my area. I have one, I live closest to Eckville, so I have one in the town of Eckville. It's a dietitian who runs it. And then I have one in Sylvan called Natural Solutions. And I am like besties with the owners of those stores, because the thing is, when you get your supplementation from a small store like that, the owners actually go through and they handpick their suppliers. So they're making sure that you're getting a quality product that is actually going to give you a result. Okay. And Walmart does not do that. All right.
Yeah. You don't want to be just wasting your money, right? Like that's the thing. Cause I've heard like with probiotics, they have to be live, right? They have to actually, and they're so delicate that they can be destroyed in the processing. And then basically you're just taking a sugar pill.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that you're getting a high quality product. Otherwise you're just wasting your money anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then that's what I always suggest to people is when it comes to this stuff, you want to make sure, what I say is, okay, here's another quick analogy. You are building a house, okay? When you eat, your body is a house. That's where you live. You're going to be living in it for a very long time. So think about building your dream house. Okay, usually what happens when you build your dream house is you go to a drafts person and you get some blueprints, and then you go and get some quotes, from contractors who are going to build this dream home for you. So basically you have two choices. Say your 8-year-old nephew is kicking around when you bring home your blueprints and he says, oh, I can give you a quote for that. It won't take me very long to build. I'm not going to charge you because I love doing it. And my grandparents have this wood junk pile in the back of their farm. So I can get the supplies from there. So it's going to be super easy, super cheap, so quick. It'll be done for you in no time. But like your house is going to start to look like the child's treehouse. It's not going to be your dream home, right? So that's the difference between using high quality, efficient materials, or like say you go to then the contractor in your area who has 18 years of experience and he has a good relationship with the people where he gets his supplies. So it's going to take a little bit longer, obviously, and it might be a little bit more of an investment for you, but your end product is going to look like something that you actually want to live in for an extended period of time, right? So that's the difference. You're always looking for the quality of the materials. And I've heard that too. Like I suggest supplementation and people say, oh, well, you just pee it out anyways. It's like, well, yeah, it really depends on the quality of supplementation, whether it's absorbed, whether your body wants to absorb it into your system or not. Your body is very smart and it makes those decisions. If you're peeing it out anyways, your body's not going to be able to utilize it well. So you got to get a better product, right?
Yeah, totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So I just want to move on to the next thing because, like, I know I could talk to you forever about this. Like, Mandy and I are in a mastermind group together, and we can just chat. So, but for the sake of you guys, actually, you know what I was thinking while we were while you're talking, and I'm kind of asking questions, was like, there should be a master class or something. Like, there should be. Anyway, that coming soon, guys. We're going to work on that. We're going to work on a master class because I want to touch on something that I think, you know, actually it's a burning question for myself, to be honest, is like, what do you think the main obstacle is to people actually following through and living like a healthy lifestyle like this?
People actually following through. So I talk about diet nutrition a lot, and most people go directly to that, meaning food. We always associate diet with food, but diet is everything that you take in. And so not only the healthy food and the healthy drinks, but also your activities, the relationships that you invest time into, and your mind. So they say that about 83% of all of your intake is your own internal dialogue. So you talking to yourself in your own mind, okay? So really, it's not, and that's what's going to create the decisions of what you take part in for the rest of your diet. And that's what really brings like holistic is in my title, and that's what really brings everything full circle, because it's not necessarily just what you're putting into your mouth. It's your relationship with what you're putting into your mouth, and then it's also the decision process. So your mind of what you're telling yourself, you're going to do what your mind decides. And so number one, I tell people, if you want to change your action, the best way to do it is to, number one, either change your focus or change your physiology. And that comes straight from Tony Robbins. So that's the secret.
Yeah, I love that. Focus or physiology. I'm totally going to write that down. And that kind of comes into like what I wanted to say about it, which was like, we have to like stop getting in our own way, right? So we also talk about like a lot in coaching, which is, you know, how your subconscious mind is what's actually controlling. That's what's running the show, right? So it's 95% of what you do on a daily basis is coming from your subconscious mind. So that other 5%, it's pretty hard to make a change when, you know, that other 95% of your subconscious mind is running the show, right? So it's like, how do we get out of that self-sabotaging, you know, behavior? Because like I've been there, right? I've been there. I've done that, like I said, gone kind of back and forth. And it's like, we got to address that subconscious belief that we have in order to really, I would say, do this successfully, right? And permanently or semi-permanently, right? Because like you said, with depression, it's a bit of a teeter-totter or whatever it is, because, you know, some of these things are like, how do I say this? I say it's a bit morbid, but it's true. Like, you're not done until you're dead. So this is going to be a journey. That's why I call it a journey. And we just have to find ways to cope well and to enjoy the journey. So yeah, that's what I have to say about like what the obstacle is to, getting, these healthy habits really ingrained into your routine, right? And like getting them to become automatic. So,
well, and then,
yeah, I actually do. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that self-love piece comes into this a lot. I've heard it said that, so your conscience is your thinking, that 5% that you mentioned. Your subconscious is your feeling. So your mind can put, so those affirmations and stuff, your mind can put it out there all it wants. But until you're actually feeling those things in your heart and for yourself, you're not going to start to sway that subconscious. The subconscious is always what you're feeling underneath. And one of my very good friends says you have to feel it to heal it. You got to let it come up. You got to let it come out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of this, there's a lot of pressure right now in society that we have to, especially with social media, right? We have to present ourselves as being perfect and present ourselves. I mean, I don't want to say especially, maybe it was the same, like, cause I try to think back to like, let's say my grandmother's time where it was like, it was the 50s or whatever. And I'm pretty sure they had big pressure to be perfect then too, like, the trophy wife, blah, 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 blah. So this is not really, I guess it's shifted a little bit and changed a little bit, but I feel like we have a lot more work to do in this area. And that's, I think, why, Mandy and I do the work that we do, is to help shift this paradigm, right? That, we have to be perfect and that it's like an end goal. It's not, it's a journey, right? So I know I have a free gift for you guys. If you're interested in, getting out of your way, it's actually called 5 Journal Prompts to Get Out of Your Own Way. And I am taking a couple of one-on-one clients this month. By the time that this is published, my Secrets to Self-Confidence program enrollment will be ended. So that means that I will have a little bit of room to wiggle with some one-on-one clients, but I will drop the link below if you are interested in working with me to kind of do the self-love aspect part of it, figuring out what it is that's stopping you from getting in the way of really, really committing to this. So, and then I know that Mandy also has a gift for us, like on how to get started.
Yes.
So let us know.
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of people are like, okay, yeah, but how do I, like, what are the first things that I should do? And what a lot of people end up doing is they decide, okay, I'm getting healthy. I'm losing weight this time and I'm going to make it stick. And so then they do all the things. They completely change the way that they're eating, and they're going to start meal prepping, and they start working out, and they hire like a personal trainer, and they do all the things for like a week. And then they, like I said, they burn out of resilience. They burn out of that, their catalyst, and then they fall back. And it's like, I just can't do this. And so what I often suggest is not doing the big turn 180. I suggest starting small. And so I have kind of 2 free gifts for you. So one of them is kind of like the Cole's notes of the other. I have a free gift. It's a PDF download that I call Simple Little Fixes. And I say, don't do them all at once. My journey has been 6 years now of incorporating these things into myself and my family's life. Pick 1 or 2. Pick 1 or 2. If you're not sleeping well, I would say start there. Don't start at the gym. Start sleeping, because that's what makes everything else worthwhile. And that's going to maximize your efforts by about 90% is if you're sleeping well. And then
you'll have the energy to go to the gym.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Or to exercise.
A lot of people, when I first start working with my clients, they say, oh yeah, I used to work out a lot, but I kind of let that go. And I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like I want to. After working with me for about 2 weeks, they're like, can I start working out now? I have this extra energy. Can I start working out now, please?
Awesome.
Yes, your body tells you when it's time to start, but don't put that pressure on yourself right now. So I like start small, start with a couple of things. Maybe start with soup for supper, vegetable soup for supper, instead of a big meal from a package loaded with trans fats and processed foods, or maybe start with a shake for breakfast. We all have better resilience in the morning than in the afternoon. So make sure that you're getting like those 5 or 6 servings of fruits and vegetables into your shake in the morning, because then you can bounce back with your mindset and say, oh no, like I did that, I covered that base. So maybe just pick one of those things and start doing it regularly, because that's going to build your confidence. And once you do that regularly, you start to feel, okay, no, if I can do that thing, I can do the next thing now. And kind of build on like that, because that's what actually creates these healthy habits and creates your consistency over time, because you have resilience to do one thing. You just may not have the resilience to do 10 things, right? So just start with one. And so then my first free gift is a document, and it's the first steps posters. And so basically it has 2 columns. One is focus on increasing. So you can go through and you can pick one or 2 of those things. Increase water, increase whole foods, increase sunlight and fresh air. This is a great time of year for that, right? Get out and go for a walk. Everybody can do like a 10-minute walk a day. Maybe that's what your one little simple fix. Movement and sleep also fall into that category. And then focus on decreasing. So I've highlighted the big 4. So these are the foods that you want to kind of start to shift out of. Basically, you just want to start acting like they don't even exist. They never happened. For myself and my household, McDonald's never happened. It's not a thing. My kids ask about it. I say, no, we don't go there. Not a thing. I don't have to worry about McDonald's fries with my kids because it never happened. It's not a thing. So the big 4 are high fructose corn syrup, artificial dyes and flavoring, artificial sweetener. Stevia is different. It comes from an herb, but anything else, it causes cancer too slowly for them to actually take it off the market, but not good for you. And trans fats. Okay, so I got the big 4 there. You want to minimize alcohol. You want to minimize meat and dairy, because those are the things that bring cholesterol with no fiber. You always want to weigh your checks and balances with those things and make sure that they're benefiting your body more than taking away. And then negative self-talk, because that mindset thing, that's what's going to, your self-talk is what's driving all of this. Okay, that's your big engine.
Yeah.
So I kind of break those down, and then simple little fixes, that's a bigger PDF version, and that's just an expansion on these principles. And I got some recipes in there. I got some things that actually will get you going and get you started. And I never mentioned the loophole, so that comes up in this. I really like wine. Honestly, I like wine. I like poutines. I like to have a birthday cake because that's a celebration. And so the loophole is about 80%, 80 to 85% of what you eat should feed your body well. And you got about that 10 to 15 to 20% that feeds your soul. Okay, these are the foods that feed your soul. Poutine feeds my soul. I don't care how bad it is. My soul, and I love it. So when you can create a relationship with that, and realize that taking part in eating the birthday cake actually releases a lot of serotonin, so that's a happy hormone from your gut. When you have a good relationship with that and you take part in those celebration things, it's really good for your mindset again. So that's your loophole. And you just got to think, okay, am I drowning my sorrows in this cake, in the rest of my kid's birthday cake? Am I drowning my sorrows in the, am I trying to find my answer in the bottom of this wine bottle again? That's mine. I'm going to be very vulnerable with you. I got to be very careful about my relationship with wine. Am I numbing, or am I enjoying a nice glass with dinner? There's a difference.
Yeah, I think so. Like intention is such a huge thing. Like I know when I was getting over my eating disorder, that was such a main thing. Like if I get that anxiety, I call it like the crazy feeling. Like if I made a pact with myself and I said, you know what, I can't eat it when I'm doing that. Like when I'm feeling that emotion, I'm not allowed to eat it. I'm allowed to eat it any other time. Any other time I can have a piece of cake, I can have ice cream for the joy of it, but I am not going to do it when it's an unhealthy coping mechanism, when it's, like you said, am I looking for the solution to this in the bottom of the ice cream bucket? I totally am. Like the bottom of a Ben and Jerry's is the solution there. It's empty. Like there's the thing. It's never there, guys. So don't do it.
You almost end up just digging deeper, because the next day, I always say when I drink too much wine, I'm borrowing fun from tomorrow, because you know tomorrow is going to be worse than today. If you're breaking down and going to the bottom of that bottle, tomorrow's going to be worse. And then that's where you get to find that bottom level and build back up, right? And so, yeah,
Yeah.
and you had a really good point. If you're taking part in it in joy, in an emotion of joy, and usually when you're gathered together with family, that's when you can kind of get those soul foods in, because you're taking part in it, like you're sitting down in community and taking part in that aspect in joy. And that's going to give you a good hormone release. But when you're crouching down in your kitchen, hiding behind the counter, or at 2 a.m, like opening up another bottle of wine, that's not really taking part in joy, right? And so then that's kind of how you start to see the difference. And sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need to do that to get to the bottom of the feeling tomorrow, and that's not a bad thing. I think absolutely. Moral of the story too is anytime these things happen, and that's a decision you make, you also got to give yourself some grace. You must have had to go there to unearth another feeling that you needed to feel, and now that that's unearthed, you can heal it and you can move on. Give yourself some grace. Keep going.
Love it. Love it so much. Thank you, Mandy, for coming and chatting about this topic that we're both really passionate about. And I hope you guys had some great takeaways. Don't forget about the free gifts that we have for you in the links below. And yeah, everybody just take care. You're welcome. Bye, guys.